Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Channel Shout of Moses. I'm your host Moses, and today on Should You Play, I bring to you guys Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order was published by EA Games, but it was developed by Respawn Entertainment, which I do have to say I was a little bit surprised since they mainly do shooter games, and previously the founder of that company was the one that co-founded Infinity Ward, which just does all the Call of Duty games, more shooters. But I have to say, I was pretty delighted to see how fun the combat in this game was. So what I usually like to do in these reviews, I usually like to talk about the good, what I really liked about the game, what I found iffy or so-so, and then we'll get into the negative. But first, the story of this game. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but the story of this game is centered around a character named Cal. And it's about 5 years after the events of Episode 3 and Order 66, where Emperor Palpatine killed all the Jedi, or so he thought. Cal has been living in hiding and seclusion on a pretty low-key planet and living his life as a mechanic until one day the Inquisitors, Jedi hunters, pretty much figured him out. So he's been on the run and he's met some pretty interesting characters along the way. And two of those characters are your crewmates. You have Sarah, who is a headstrong ex-Jedi who struggles with her relationship with the Force. Then you have Greaves, who is a witty, comical pilot.
I like your optimism. We could all use a little of that now and then.
Hey, I'm a positive guy too. I'm positive that if I die, I'll be very upset.
And as far as character, they both bring a lot to the table. But both of them present Cal with an opportunity to fight back against the Empire. They explain to him that they are Force-sensitive children in the galaxy, and it's up to them to get to them first before the Empire can find them. And on to the good stuff. First of all, the game looks beautiful. I think the environment looks nice. I think the character models look nice. Even when they're talking outside of cutscenes, their lips are synced exactly with what they're saying, which you don't really see very often. So there's a lot of great things graphic-wise about this game, and it sounds great. The lightsaber sound realistic. Everything sounds on point. Nothing sounds flat. Playing with headphones or just straight from your TV. Everything about the game looks and sounds great. It sounds like Star Wars. The music is Star Wars. It's very authentic. So I really love that part about it. The combat seemed very fluid. It was hard for me to grasp the combat at first, but I got a good handle of it a couple hours into the game. And speaking about the combat, I was wondering why I kept hearing sounds of everyone saying that this game is just Dark Souls but Star Wars. And watching the gameplay, I couldn't see it, but now that I'm playing the game, I definitely feel it. If anyone here has played Sekiro or Bloodborne or a Dark Souls game, you know all of them are very similar, but they have something very different about them which fundamentally changes the way you approach an enemy. In Dark Souls, it's about blocking and dodging. In Sekiro, it's about parrying and counterattacking. And in Bloodborne, it's about dodging and then parrying. All of those sound similar, but are very different if you play that game. And somehow in this game, they managed to do a really good job of almost combining all three of those concepts into a very fluid and yet forgiving replica of the soul genre. Some of the other things it does that are pretty similar to Dark Souls: if you die, you lose your XP. But if you die from falling off like a cliff or something, it's pretty forgiving, and you just start back right in front of the cliff. As opposed to if you die by an enemy, then that's it. You have to get your soul. You have to get your XP back. Instead, by killing that enemy or hitting that enemy once, getting your souls back, and then you can maybe run away or try again. And then there are bonfires, or actually meditation points, but bonfires. And you sit at them, and that's where you upgrade your stats, just like any other Souls game. But the difference is you don't put more stats into attack, you don't put more stats into defense, you have a skill tree. So when you sit at that meditation point, you're able to put things inside your skill tree, and that's the big difference there. So you don't have to worry about you being underpowered near the end of the game. It's really just what skills you want to equip and what perks you want to have. A lot of other neat things to see in games like this are the customization. They give you a wide variety of customization with your lightsaber, or with your ship, or with your outfit, or your droid's outfit, BD1. There's just a lot of color and customization options to make the game feel unique to you, and I'm always a big fan of that, and I'm always loving cosmetic things put into games like these. And I wish more games did them. Games like I know Spider-Man did that, where they give you a lot of free outfits, and it looks like this game's doing something similar, so it's always good to see in a game like this. And then there's just the performance and the story. I don't want to go into any more of the story than I already have. I don't want to spoil anything past the first couple hours of the game, so I'm not really going to go into it. But the characters all felt really compelling. The main character, he's pretty generic, but he's definitely not bad. He's not a detriment. And your two crew members, and then even the Inquisitor, the main Inquisitor that's following you and chasing you. I think she did a great performance. I think everyone's performance was believable. They incorporated other characters from the other movies, which I thought was great. Forrest Whitaker, aka Saw, was there. I thought that was interesting. The security droid from Rogue One, it wasn't that same one, it wasn't K2SO, but it was still a security droid. Those little things add a lot of value, and especially if you're a fan of the series, it's just really good seeing those familiar faces. And when it comes to like the so-so aspect of this game, there's not really much. It's may feel like more of a nitpick. The dodging in this game, while I was just praising the combat, I feel like the dodging in this game could be a little better. I am always looking for good distance when you dodge, or good invincibility frames. I'm not sure it has that. It might be that I'm so used to other Souls games, I feel it's not as good, but it's just something that it just took me a very long time to get used to. And then there's also the whole, there's no fast travel in the game. You can travel to other planets, sure, but when you're in the middle of a world, and these are pretty big worlds, and you unlock shortcuts, of course, but if you're in the middle of a stage and you want to go all the way back, making your way back and trekking your way back to the beginning of the stage where you're able to leave the stage, and maybe I haven't figured out maybe I haven't got a skill tree that lets me do that yet, but it's pretty tedious and pretty tiresome, where even great combat like this can get pretty boring if you're doing the same thing over and over again just to go back to your ship. And then when it comes to the actual negative part of this game, there's really not much there either. But this happened to me a couple times. This may have just been bad luck on my part, but there's been numerous times where the camera angle, especially in the tight spaces or hallways, just kind of goes berserk crazy, and I have no idea what's happening. And before I got the force push ability, I could not get out of the corner. So I just ended up dying because I couldn't see my character, no one to block or no one to parry. And then the other thing, the big thing, which everyone's pretty much had an issue across the board, depending on what, no matter if you've been playing on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation 4, is the frame drops. And it's bad. I get frame drops constantly, no matter what stage I'm going to. If I enter any room, if I change locations, it's constantly bugging around. And it doesn't happen in battle very often. I've only seen it a couple times actually impede my battle, but it's still it happens so often that you really can't ignore it or get around it. I have a 2080 Ti, so it's not my graphics card. It's a problem that I hope it's fixable by patch. But overall, this game is solid. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, the atmosphere is breathtaking, exploring outer space is great, the characters are unforgettable. So, I mean, there's a couple nitpicks I have with the exploration and the fast travel and the unfortunate constant frame dropping, but when it comes to should you play Fallen Order, I'm going to say absolutely. I don't even like Star Wars that much, but I can't put this game down. So I think anyone that even remotely likes Star Wars, I think deserves to give this game a chance. even for $60. And like I said, it's on PS4, Xbox, and not Steam, EA. But what do you guys think? And honestly, is there fast travel? Please let me know. But this has been Channel Shout Out Moses. I'll see you guys soon.